Alright, welcome to the next lesson. So in this lesson we'll start piecing everything together, setting the timing and polishing and creating our offsets. Alright, so quickly let's select this. Let's select this, our tab here. I think move it forward. I think I'll just take it out of the scene. I'll just move it this way and rotate it such that it faces our guy or man here. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so now if you notice keyframe has been added because our auto key is turned on, please select everything and delete it, because when you start playing now this will start moving around and it's not what you want. So I'll select my rig now and start filling in the place, the poses. So if you notice this other pose, this is the second blocking pass. So what that means is that you start filling in those secondary poses like the head movement. So at this, let's say frame 20, let's give it a weight. So I'm looking at my camera view here. So go to front view, make him look up. So I'm looking at it from my camera view. So it's looking up. Select everything, add a keyframe. So this point brings his face down. Okay. You notice there are very subtle movements on the shoulders, which you have to pay close attention. That's why I'm just adding a few movements here and there, so it's not just standing still and you just have the head moving independent of other controls. So these are secondary poses. I just need to learn these. It's just like principles. I'm just giving you the principle of how to animate any character. You could actually start by animating every key poses one by one, but I want to just show you how you can just first start with the blocking, and so you know the entire animation pipeline when it comes to animating your character. So you have blocking, first you have the layout, then you have blocking, then timing, second blocking, or maybe if there's any need for you will be the judge of it. If there's any need to do second blocking, then add your lip sync with a little bit of polishing, then final polish, and it's done. Let's just break it to like 5 separate pipeline, from the layout down to the final polishing. So that's, I mean, for your case it might be different. You may just feel, okay, I've done the first blocking is fine, okay, let's go straight to polishing. All right, well, I always want to go deeper into creating, but for the sake of this course, I mean, it may take hours to make sure that this character is all cleaned up, but take your time and clean up this character for your own view. So I'll select everything and add a keyframe. So he raises his head just there. I think maybe we'll just copy the head pose. So one of the things you should realize, you can actually copy a particular pose from a control. So this head pose, this is its keyframe. So because the reason why you're seeing a selected pose, selected key, is because this button here is turned on. So if I select everything, I mean, that's everything there. See, this is all the keyframe. If I select this now, you would have to scroll and look for that particular control keyframe. So if I select this, you'll find that okay, this has its own control, and that's it. Alright, so if I select the head key right here, I can actually copy this. Alright, so raise the head up just a bit there. Select everything, hit.
A man did more than that. And I am that man!
So I also noticed sorry, I also noticed the sound was too loud, so I would have to reduce. Let's reduce this, the shouting a bit,
A man did more than that.
so it's not too.
And I am that man! And more than that.
Alright, so let's go to the next secondary pose. So another thing I've noticed is, let's rotate this forward and bring this backwards a bit there. So when in our next pose, we can now create a breathing effect where he breathes in and unleashes his temper. So I just select everything, add a keyframe at this point. So here, right here, so in between this pose, so there's an in between right there, which is the head pose. So if we take this up, you can actually see him looking up a bit. So we'll relax the shoulder, I'll copy it and paste it at the other end. You remember how to copy and paste, so that's how it works. So select everything, add a keyframe. So another thing I've noticed is that our waist is too far, so I'll just select this and bring this forward, maybe on the y-axis, take this up a bit, select everything, add a keyframe. So let's look for a secondary pose we can add here. I can't really find one, so there is another one here now, is this. Oops, I cleared out the rotation. Oops. So we'll go easy on that. So that's the secondary pose while he's still looking at this dude or whoever he's talking to. So another thing you should also note is the hand pull. So I mean, this will teach you more observation, lots of observation actually. So you have to observe to see how your character actually, sync with your reference. So select everything, add a keyframe. So we're actually adding secondary poses to our animation. So So here is an extreme pose. So there's an extreme pose where he's stretched. Okay, so pull this, control, I think this one. So work with the torso right here. So if you also notice the hands were almost lifted up. So those are a few very subtle details you should look at. Oops, set this camera view. So the head is tilted in front like he's actually very, very irritated. Very irritated. So I think I'll rotate this in to have that like he's, see, like inside here is breathing in, it's creating an anticipation. To launch an attack. So you notice it's not shoulders are not accurate, so we're going to, I think let's just tweak the head. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'll select the torso. I mean, look at your reference and try to get to pose out this character according to your reference. Alright, don't try to be creative right now. I mean, this is not the time to be creative at the moment. And at this time is for you to match the pose from your reference to this character, from the primary pose, which is what we did in the previous lesson, to this secondary pose, so primary blocking to the secondary blocking. So we've already gotten the timing because we are actually following exact action for action from our reference. So I'll select everything, add a keyframe. So at this point here, so this pose is actually extreme too. So I would want to bring, I want to bring the character down. Okay, pull out our, our arm pull. We'll look for this one. So I see it there. Select it, pull it out. Alright, there's another thing I noticed. So I would have to add another extreme pose so that the hands are actually stretched out a bit. So you see that it lifts up just a bit there. Okay. So this is another extreme pose. Another secondary pose we'll have to add. Okay. So it lifts this, open this up a bit. All right, bend this in a bit, lift our hand backward, all right. So select everything, add a keyframe for that secondary pose.
That man!
So
That man!
so we move it forward, look at it from a top view. So we are not actually seeing it because our manager here is blocking it. So there's another lift here for the secondary pose. So don't forget to add a keyframe for the last pose you did. So we'll relax this. Look at it from the top view. Add a keyframe. Unfortunately, I already did add a keyframe there, so there's no point. So the reason why it's lagging, its Blender is becoming heavy. I think my simplify is not turned on. I think, yeah, it's turned on. So I've actually reduced this to just remove anything that would make the scene too heavy. So I'm actually trying to create a secondary pose for this character, this pose here. So the head is turned this way. So select this and move it to this frame 180. So don't forget to add a keyframe. So at this point, he still bends, he leans forward the arm. Let's move it forward. So I'm just trying to get this arc here so our character can, so there is this, the pointing happened like twice. Oops. So I'll work on that pointing again. So I will take this out. Don't worry, we'll polish up this finger fold, so we'll fold the finger properly. Add a keyframe. So I believe by now why is the head doing that? So there's a keyframe on the head. I think it's the neck actually. So the neck is what's causing this issue. So you run into issues like this. So at some point you just have to hold the pose, or we go to our head lock and delete the keyframe. So just clear the keyframe, or let's delete key insert. Hold on. Yeah. So I'll delete this keyframe then. So the reason, so you notice that as we've removed the keyframe from the head lock, the head now is acting independently. So we'll just go to all the keys. I mean, you would run into these issues. I mean, it's now extreme. It's acting independent now. So just go into the keys and adjust them. And adjust them. So so at this point I think we'll use the neck. Just rotate the neck on the x-axis, then rotate the head there. Select everything, add a keyframe. So I can copy and paste this key frame and actually edit it. So the next frame, I can actually hold or delete all these keyframes here, since except this one. So I'll delete this keyframe here and hold this pose by duplicating it. Right, I'll just hit Shift D. So for the next one, I'll just duplicate this one, copies and paste to duplicate so I can see. Next one, character is actually looking, so I apologize. I mean, I should have cleared out this head lock from the beginning. So before you start animation, make sure that the head is independent of the body, so you can actually, my point is, you can actually control your head, have control over the head on your own. So you disable that before you start. So I would actually tweak the neck here again. Alright, so it's just the head we are working on. So you already, so since this head is at the same position, I'll just duplicate it to this one. I'll do the same thing here. So I'm just trying to match the head movements. So I think I'll duplicate this one here too. So always select it, don't, I mean, just take for example, let me undo so you see what I mean. So you always want to select the key you want to duplicate first before you hit duplicate, because now you see you have two keys active. So if I now duplicate this, now you see I'm selecting the two and I'll run into issues. So make sure that you select it, then copy and paste. So I'll do the same thing, copy, select it, copy, and also paste it there. So we are back to where we left off. So there's this, so at this point we release the neck, just clear out the rotation, and rotate the head just a bit in front, so when he breathes, that breathing, oh, ours is ours is acting weird. So we'll clear the neck here again, or we'll just delete it. Just clear the neck and delete it. So you can see. So we select everything now, select all our keyframes, and we switch from constant to Bezier. Now it's time to do our timing and holding a few poses, because if we play this now,
more than that. And I am that man. A man did more than that. And I am that man.
so I'm looking at my camera view here.
A man did more than that. And I am that man.
So our character is coming out
did more than
now.
that. And I am that man. A man did more than that. And I am that man. A man did more than that. And I am that man.
So we'd hold a few poses, like this opening pose.
Man did more than that. And I.
So our own pose, like this pose lifted up too early, so we'd want to hold that a bit by pressing Shift D to hold that pose in. So move it forward a bit.
And up, 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 and
So between these poles, you can notice that the head is actually moving, like nodding. A man did more than that, and it's actually nodding before it moves to.
I am that man. And I am that man. And I am that man.
All right, so would actually have to create ours, the overlap, like the head movement. So let's add the head movement to that. The man did more than that, so he nodded just subtle there a bit.
And I am that man.
So now we'll select everything and we'll offset the hand so that the hand lands on the table before the entire body lands, just to give it that weight. Okay, so let's offset the hands a bit. So that's this IK hand here. What's going on? So select this. So I'll select the IK hand here. Select this. Select this one. And so also here, if you notice, the breathing happened before the hands, so it didn't just happen all at once. So I think let's first offset this spine just a bit, just bring it forward just 2 frames forward. Exactly. So for the hands now, you can now set it such that move this forward. So take note of just that little offsetting. Moving it 2 frames or 1 frame forward can make the whole difference. So you can see it landed and allowed and gave the weight to the hand. So that's how it is. Your hand will land first, just like when you're doing press up. When you're actually doing your press ups, your hands will have the weight. Your hands will have to carry the weight of your body. Okay, that's how it works. So you take notes of that. Alright, so also of this other spine, the spine too, so that it lifts up later. Okay, so it lifts up early enough for the hands to to be free of the weight. So select this. Apologize, I don't know, my laptop is suddenly lagging. So bring this. So bring this forward, 1 frame forward. So bring this forward again. So I mean, pay attention. I mean, if you want to create quality animations, I mean, I can spend hours. I mean, just that some clients may not be too patient enough. I can spend hours polishing and tweaking my controls to make sure that I get at least that's close to, that's the standard I'm looking for. I mean, so you notice another thing now is that it went forward with early. The spine went forward before. So here too, if you notice, the hands entered into the the table, and I believe that's the transition from FK, IK to FK. That's why. So what we'll do, we're going to cheat a bit. Just when the IK is about to transition to FK, we'll animate that IK just a bit. So let's look at it from this view. I think this is the IK. Yeah, it's about to transition to FK, so we'll just lift it up a bit. You'd find it, just find it, you're going to see it. I'll just rotate it. Exactly. So such that when it's about to transition to FK, it's already in the air. Just a few, it's just a little technique. Just a few tweaks here and there, and so I think there's another problem. I'll just let's delete the key first, because I am, unless one thing, we'll just hold this pose. We'll hold the pose just a bit. I'm just thinking of the best way to present this such that it doesn't enter into, because at this point, let's select everything and let's see. Unless I would select everything, since we've not offsetted and there's no offset here yet, and we've not added any secondary pose in this space, so I'll just duplicate this in forward. So it's, I'll hold the pose. I'll hold the pose just a bit. So at this point here is where we can now lift the IK as it transforms into the FK. So I'll lift the IK and give it that, that bend. Bring this forward. So if I select everything, I can now give it a keyframe. Just add a keyframe there. So in that transition, I am that man. So I don't know if you understand what I did there. So there was space here, so I had to duplicate this particular pose and hold it between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames. So when it's about to transition, like you see here, when it's about to transition, I can now animate because remember we switched from IK to FK, so we can now animate this to switch before it switches to this, because this pose is in FK now, but at this pose is already in FK. So before it switches or transitions to FK, we can then animate the IK control. You can see it's turning a little, it just switch, is about to transition and your FK is about to appear. So just switch your IK to lift your IK control a bit, and there you have it. So let's keep checking how we can offset a few. So another thing we need to offset now is this spine. Like I said, focus on the things that are actually more prominent. For example, this spine is moving a lot. The hands are moving a lot. This hand not necessarily moving a lot. The head is moving, but not that obvious. So you can actually place the head at one pose, and you're good, but you still animate it anyways. So at this point, this spine, if you notice, okay, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. So there's another one here. There's something called ease in. So we're going to ease in this pose. This particular pose will ease it in here. So you do that by pressing Ctrl E. So what that does is that it checks the poses in between each other, like this, between this pose. Just check between this pose and this one. Give yourself. So between this pose and this pose is going to take, let me grab everything. So between this pose and this pose, it will ease in between both of them and just pick a perfect position for itself. So how do I do that? I'll just press Ctrl E. I'll just drag my mouse. So if you notice now, we didn't really add too many movements to the spine. So we'll just ease it in right there.
That man! A man did more than that. And I am that man! A man.
So another thing we're going to do, still on the spine, we'll select the spine again, so it eases in when it's breathing. So you find that, so we'll move this forward, so it's just so the spine moves earlier. So if we play this now, so you see that. So I think we should actually bend the head so that it has that smooth transition to the other pose. So at this point where it's here, so this pose would rotate the head on the x-axis just a bit. And would make it so that the head lands, reach its resting pose last after the spine. So if you notice here, just observe. So the spine line lands before the head lands. So it's like I've always been mentioning before, animation is about observation. So this last pose for the spine, just move it forward. So you can see now we've succeeded in, timing. It's not perfect because this particular video is becoming very long, but take your time, clean up your keyframes, add offsets where you need to add offsets, and you're good to go. That's how you animate, really. It's just by observing what your reference is. You see why you cannot animate from your head. You just have to shoot a reference video, because if you want to do this from your head, you will be messed up. Trust me, you'll be messed up. You will just ruin everything. I think I have to move this beginning pose forward just a bit right there. All right, so I'll actually copy it to this pose. So from the beginning, that pose was still on his waist before it changed. All right, so I think that's good. So in the next lesson, we are going to add our lip sync. I hope you did the assignments I gave you for the pose library. Even though we may not use it, but I would like to see it. So let's move on to the next lesson, where we start to add lip syncs and facial expressions. So see you in the next lesson.